It was a little bit scary getting up here today, but here I am. Please join me in the pledge to the Bible. I pledge allegiance to the Bible, God's holy word. I will make it a lamp unto my feet and unto my path. I will hide its words in my heart, that I might not sin against God. Please join me in the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we started on some new catechism yesterday. I will say, why must you hate and forsake your sin? And you will say, because sin displeases God. Why must you hate and forsake your sin?
Because sin displeases God.
Right. And once we are saved through Jesus Christ, we want to please God. We live to please God. I will say, what does it mean to believe in Christ? And you will say, to trust in Christ alone for my salvation. Let's try it. Repeat after me. To trust in Christ alone for my salvation.
To trust in Christ alone for my salvation.
Why do you think it says alone instead of to trust in Christ for my salvation? Why does it have the word alone in there? Logan. Yes, he's the only one we can trust in. We cannot trust in our own self for our salvation. We cannot trust in any other God for our salvation. And we trust only in Christ alone. All right, our sound off has come from Proverbs 28:13. So we did the first part yesterday. I said, he that covers his sins, and you said, shall not prosper. What does it mean to cover your sin? Okay, do I dig a hole in the ground and try to put it in there? No, that won't work, Matthew? Well, what does it mean to try to cover it? Asher. Right, can we hide anything from God? No, we already learned at the beginning of the year, God sees all things. Okay, so if we try to hide our sin, we will not do well. We will not prosper. Our things will not go well for us. Okay, so let's try that. He who covers his sins shall not prosper. One more time. He that covers his sins shall not prosper. That means that is not going to work and go well for you. The second part says, and this is the good news, whoever confesses and forsakes them, and the answer you will say is, shall have mercy. So when you confess your sin and turn away from it, God has mercy on you. So let's try it. Repeat after me. Shall have mercy.
Shall have mercy.
Okay, let's see if we can put it together. He that covers his sins shall not prosper. Whoever confesses and forsakes them shall have mercy. Great, we're going to keep working on that this week. We have been beginning the story of Holy Week, the Easter story, and I'm going to invite up Mrs. Prothrow. Be careful.
Good morning, Annapolis Christian Academy warriors.
Good morning, Mrs. Prothrow.
Okay, who can raise their hand and tell me what is important about this week? What have we been talking about? Quattro. It is Easter week. What do we also call Easter week? There's another name for it. Josie. Holy Week. Everyone say Holy Week.
Holy Week.
All right, somebody remind me, what did we talk about yesterday? What big event happened on the very first day of Holy Week, on Sunday of Holy Week? Let's see. Joshua. It was Palm Sunday. Why do we call it Palm Sunday? What happened in Palm Sunday? Let's see, Emma. Jesus made his triumphal entry into Jerusalem. What does that mean? That Jesus made a triumphal entry into Jerusalem. Let me see. Sawyer. He rode a donkey. Now, can someone tell me, why did Jesus, coming into Jerusalem as the king, why did he ride in on a donkey and not a big, valiant horse? Why would that be really important? Ava. Say that one more time. Say it louder. So donkeys, when a king rode into a city on a donkey and not a horse, they were saying, I come in peace. They also were saying, I surrender. This is going to be a hard question. Was Jesus actually surrendering as he went into Jerusalem? Was he surrendering? Asher. There it is. Actually, yes. Jesus was coming in on purpose on a donkey for this show to tell everyone, I come in peace. I'm not here to wage war as the coming Messiah. And he was actually coming to surrender. He first surrendered to the will of God. He went to God right before he was crucified and prayed, let this cup be taken from me, but if not, your will be done. So Jesus' crucifixion was his surrender to God's will, but it was also the surrender to the people and the religious leaders of the Israel nation. So yes, Jesus was surrendering. He was also making a show that not a show, but he was displaying that he was a king. So the next day on Monday, something else really big happened. He goes and he's on his way to the temple court. And when he's on his way, he sees a fig tree. He sees this tree and he goes up to it. He was hungry. And he goes up and it didn't have any fruit on it. Does anyone know what he did when he saw that there was no fruit on the tree, Carter? He made it wither. He cursed it. He cursed the tree and he exclaimed, you will not bear fruit. And it withered up. He's now leaving, going on his way to the temple. He gets to the temple. The disciples just saw him curse this tree. It withered up. And that cursing of the tree is showing what's about to happen in the temple. So he gets to the temple and he sees people buying and selling of items in the temple. Did he think that this was a good thing? Just say it, you can say the answer. No. He becomes angry. He becomes angry and he starts flipping tables. He's flipping the tables and he says to the people that they have turned God's house of prayer into a den of robbers. And he says this because for many reasons, before I tell you, I'm going to ask you this question. Was Jesus sinning in his anger? He was so angry, he was flipping tables. Was Jesus sinning in his anger? Somebody raise their hand and answer. Let's see. Wyatt. No, he was not sinning in his anger. There are times it is okay to be angry. There are times it is okay to see what others are doing and letting their sin make you angry because they were dishonoring the name of God. And Jesus was upset about that. So he's flipping the tables. And the reason for this is there are a lot of reasons. The first was he was actually telling everyone that something big is about to happen to the table, or not the tables, but the temple. That in a little bit, the temple would actually be fully destroyed. So he knew that the temple at some point would actually be completely destroyed. Tell me if you know, you can just all say it. Did this actually happen? Yes. In 70 AD, an army came in and fully destroyed the temple, proving that Jesus knew what he was talking about, it did actually become destroyed. The second reason that he was flipping the tables is because the people that were buying and selling of things were actually taking advantage of the poor and the person who was traveling. And that made God angry. He saw that time and time again in the Israel nation, that they would oppress and treat very poorly those who were down and poor and those who were foreign. And so that made Jesus angry. And one of the other reasons, there's actually a lot of reasons, but the only other one that we will go over is that they were dishonoring God. Turning God's house into a place to buy and sell things is a dishonor to his name. And Jesus, in his righteous anger, stood against that and said, no, you will not turn this house of prayer into a den of robbers, into something that's stealing from the poor, stealing from the glory of God, and ultimately stealing from God's name and what his goodness is for all of us. So, let's recap. He comes in on a triumphal entry on a donkey, showing he does come in peace and he will eventually surrender. He's on his way to the temple. He sees the fig tree. He curses it, showing what he's about to do to the temple. And then he goes into the temple. He sees the buying and selling of goods. He flips these tables, and he's showing his strength, his power, his righteous anger, and he is standing for the name of God. And he's also foreshadowing what will happen several years later when an army comes and destroys the temple. So we will continue tomorrow with this big week and the events that happen. Thank you, boys and girls.
Thank you, Mrs. Prothrow. And all this leading up to the cross. We are going to sing our closing song. And yes, y'all might want to just, well, don't fall off. That's all I'll say.
You shall go out
with joy and be led forth with peace. The mountains and the hills shall break forth before you. There'll be shouts of joy, and all the trees of the fields will clap their hands. And all the trees of the fields will clap their hands. The trees of the fields will clap their hands. The trees of